What does a property manager do? These are the basic functions of a property manager. The very first thing is to advertise and market the property. If the property is vacant and nobody's living in it and nobody's paying rent, well, most likely nobody's making money. You as the owner are not making any money, and as a property manager, you're also not making money. So the number one thing is to make sure that the property is properly marketed, that the price is right, and then you attract the most qualified tenants for that unit. And that leads me to number two, which is to qualify that tenant. Make sure that you lease the property to the best tenant possible. It takes a certain level of skill and finesse to look at an application and see if there is any red flags that raise up when you're trying to evaluate a prospect for a possible tenancy. And yes, you can go by certain parameters such as 3 times the rent, make sure they have a job for the last 2 years, and so on. But sometimes there are little things here and there that you go like, I wonder what's going on with this. And that is the key, to make sure that you place the best possible prospect in a property to minimize the churn. Hopefully that tenant will stay longer than a year, and they will pay the rent on time every month. So the owner doesn't suffer, and you as a property manager don't suffer neither. Number 3 is to manage the tenant, the vendors, and the daily operations of the property. You get calls every day, there's a new issue. Every day there's something new with the property, especially if you're managing multifamily properties. I was managing up to 600 units at some point, so every day we had a new situation coming up. So it's key that you keep good records, you have a good staff, and everybody knows their role. So when the calls come in, you know who to send out, what questions to ask, who to dispatch, and so on. Number 4, collect the rents on time. Of course, if the money's not coming in, well, nobody's happy. So you gotta make sure that you collect the rent. If the tenants are late, that you have a proper process for collecting late rents, either late fees, 3-day notice, or however your process is. But you wanna make sure you keep consistent and you're collecting the rents timely, because that will determine when the bills can get paid, when the owner can get paid, and so much more. So that is a key function of a property manager. You also want to make sure that the tenant abides by the lease. If they have a pet that they're not supposed to have, or they have 10 relatives staying with them for the last 2 months, you want to make sure that you keep an eye on the property and the tenant, and if the tenant is in violation of the lease, that you do the proper notice to make sure you let the tenant know we're watching you and this is an issue. 5, troubleshoot repairs. Sometimes the tenant will call you and they will tell you an issue and they don't even know how to explain it. So a good property manager has a vast knowledge of a lot of different components such as AC, water heaters, plumbing, electric, and so on, so that you're able to walk the tenant through a process of troubleshooting the issue, and you can send out the proper vendor. If you send out a plumber for an AC issue, well, you're probably going to have a service call for the plumber, and the issue is going to take even longer to get resolved. It may even cost more money because now the issue is a few days old. So you gotta make sure that you send out the proper vendor, and by that, the key point is to troubleshoot the call properly. Number 6, document. Documentation is key when it comes to property management. Keeping track of when the tenant called for a repair, when the issue was discovered, when the vendor went out, if the tenant answered the call or didn't answer the call to the vendor, and so on is key, especially nowadays that everybody's looking for an option to not pay rent or to sue the owner or anything like that. You want to make sure that you're handling matters in a timely manner and you're also documenting anything that happens. So having the right systems in place is key, especially when you're handling a lot of units. You want to make sure everything is being handled and nothing falls through the cracks. This also becomes important when housing or co-violations are involved. You want to make sure you have the proper timing of the events in case you have to go to court or you have to respond to housing in the event of an issue. So, documentation is key. 7, handle the move out, the security deposit refund or claim, and so on. This is imperative because if you don't do the proper move out and you don't document the move out properly, well, your client as the owner may not be able to put a claim on the security deposit for the tenant if needed. At the same time, if you don't handle that security deposit claim timely, you may have to return all the money to the tenant, and the owner may look at you wondering what happened. So keeping track of when the tenant moved out, doing a property inspection right away to make sure that there's no damages or document any damages, getting the paperwork out right away in the proper manner according to your state is key. Number 8, handle the turn of the property, and again, the whole cycle of the property timely. I just had a client who decided to do the turn themselves. They have a full-time job and they want to paint the property themselves. And guess what? It's taking them 4 months to do the turn. I already told them, what do you think is happening in these 4 months that the property is vacant? Nothing. There's no money coming in. The owner is losing more money because the property is vacant, and he's trying to save money on the repairs rather than just letting us handle the turn and do the repair. So handling the turn of the unit to make sure you can put another tenant in there quickly is key. When a property is vacant, there is no money coming in. And that is the purpose of owning rental properties, to make money. So handling the turn in a timely manner is key to any property manager and owner. I know I went off the subject there a little bit. Manage the eviction process is another task of a property manager. Sometimes the eviction may be contested by the tenant, and you need to be able to walk your clients through the process firmly and with knowledge to avoid getting your clients in trouble, getting the owner in trouble, minimizing any issues and any legal issues that they may be. So knowledge of the process is key. Number 9, keeping track of all the expenses and all the money coming in so that you can provide proper financials for your client, for their accountants, for their partners, or for whoever they need to provide financial information to. This is key. Sometimes clients like to do certain repairs, like to spend some money here and there, but it's better if you keep everything centralized so that at the end of the year, you know exactly how much you spend, how much you made, and all the numbers are right there on a piece of paper and you can see them clearly. You don't have to be digging around for papers and receipts and expenses. It's all right there. So it's always good practice to have your property manager do the bookkeeping for your property. And number 10, keep the value of the property up. The whole purpose of owning rental properties is to put the money in a place where hopefully it's gonna grow over the years. But if the property is going downhill, well, money is not growing. You're probably gonna have to spend more money later on. So a good property manager always wants to make sure that there's no deferred maintenance, there are no issues. It's always looking to improve the appeal of the property. It's always looking to improve the property and make any necessary repairs timely so that the property increases in value and doesn't decrease in value. So in a nutshell, those are the main responsibilities of a property manager. Are you a property manager or rental owner? You need to subscribe to this channel. I post videos every week, shorts, long videos, tips, tricks, anything you need to know about property management. So you're in the rental business or property management business, this is the channel for you. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up.